Good morning. I'm Chief Steve Hebbe, and welcome to the Cop Shop with FPD. You're joined today by our glamorous co-host, and if you could see inside the studio, you'd see the light that has now been provided for her that just highlights her lovely locks. The one and only PIO from Farmington PD. That's Georgette Allen. How are you, Georgette?
I'm fine, Chief.
A little glamour girl with that circle light that you've got.
Don't be jealous because I have a selfie light over here for me.
I almost need to direct the camera's attention over there so they can see this contraption.
Scott loves me and got me this nifty little light,
yes.
so I don't look completely hideous one.
Yes, well, so I missed our last show, so it's been a little while, but we're back, and we've had a busy last couple of weeks. Lots of things to talk about here in the last few days. First, we'll start off with the new Roundabout, which has made an appearance finally here in Farmington up on Foothills.
Yep. The one installation is done. We posted something earlier in the week about it because we've had a lot of citizen questions and stuff like that. So I think some of those came in through Nextdoor app, but the post on it, I was a little disappointed. Not about the feedback. So feedback is great. You know, it's a public forum. Hey, you know, give us your opinion. That's great. But there were so many posts that were negative to other community members about, you know, we're not going to be able to drive through these. They're not going to figure out. So I was a little disappointed in that. So I feel like
a couple of them
we're better than that.
We're too stupid to be able to operate.
Yeah. Our community's so stupid. So I wanted to put that out there that I was really disappointed in that, and I feel like our community is better than that than saying hateful things to each other. Yeah. You know, roundabouts are usually good for a little controversy in other towns. Yeah, absolutely.
We had them in Anchorage before I left. We had a number of them, and they took some getting used to. But they reduce stoplights. That's the theory. You know, now you don't need stoplights. Slow traffic down. You could kind of work your way around. So they're common in other places. I know Albuquerque has them. Like I said, Anchorage has them. But it's new to us, and anything new takes some time to adjust to.
It does. It's different.
Fortunately, it's not right in the middle of Main Street, which would be, you'd have to learn fast on the fly. This one's kind of outside, up on, and where exactly is it?
It's at Foothills and Rinconada.
That's right.
Rinconada, pronouncing that correctly. So yeah, if you're not go up there, try it out, practice. It's on a street. It's not a Main Street, because they will be coming downtown later with the revitalization as well.
Well, you can be like that little piggy on the Geico commercial. You just roll the window down and you go, wee, wee, as you go around and around. And then you'll love it. I think, Scott, are you up for doing that, Scott?
I'll pass.
Okay, well, thank you. That's not quite the ringing endorsement we were hoping for from our sponsor, but still.
Yeah.
So anyway, that is live, and you're right, there's going to be a few more as part of the downtown revitalization in an effort to, kind of a little more smoothly flow traffic through without all the stop and go that you see so often at regulated stoplights.
And it's supposed to be, again, it's this whole revitalization project of downtown, making it more conducive to pedestrian traffic, and it's designed to slow that traffic down. There's 40% less accidents, 75% less traffic accident conflict points. And I think some of that was pointed out on the video that we shared, so I'm excited for them. I'm okay with them.
But, to your point, and we'll move into our next topic here in a minute or two, but the recent elections, some of what we saw on the Facebook post really is, it's indicative of what we've been talking about over the last year, and that's, how divided we are and how quick we are to jump on each other. As we love our Facebook page, we love the interaction with the community, and I get not everybody likes the roundabouts. I didn't build them. We just enforce them at the PD.
And that's okay if you don't like them,
right.
But the attack on other community members is what got me.
Yeah, let's keep it classy. We're probably a smart enough town. We can figure out how to make them work. Whether we like them or not is a separate question. And
sure.
But I assume we'll be okay with them, one way or the other. So
life will go on.
I hope it does. If every roundabout ends life, we are a hurting unit because we got more coming, folks. So, like I mentioned, we just had our midterm elections, which for us here in New Mexico meant a lot of local elections and also a governor's race, as well as a senator and a congressman locally. So it was a big night. A lot of times midterm elections seem like you kind of snooze your way right through them, I think. I haven't seen voter turnout numbers yet, but it'll be interesting to see because there seemed like there was more, the voters were more galvanized this time to go out and vote. And I did make an appearance, and I believe you did too.
I did, and I know you did because I posted it to our Facebook page.
That's right. I forgot.
You ran into the assistant principal from FHS and
yes.
Yeah, sent me a photo. So, yep. I was out there as well.
Bright and early. So we had a new governor. We knew we were going to have a new governor. In this case, we switched parties, so we had a Republican governor for the last 8 years, and now we have Michelle Lujan Grisham, Democrat, is going to be running things down in Santa Fe. We're hoping for the best for her and for our state. And we had some local upsets, too. I think Allison won, and I can't pronounce Sharon's name.
Chili. I had it earlier when we were talking
she was honestly, folks, she
chili.
was just spitting that name out. I deferred to her, and then she choked like she was a kicker for the Buffalo Bills, shanking it to the right. So, but yeah, so Sharon lost. She was the incumbent. We had a senator that was up, Martin Heinrich. I think he won comfortably. We had Ben Ray Lujan was up in our area, and Ben Ray won as well. Yeah. So not a lot of changes, although we knew we were going to have some change down in Santa Fe, and we have it. So for the next 6 months or so, as she goes about forming her cabinet, and for us in law enforcement, she'll be picking her director of public safety and head of the state police, and so that'll be interesting for us. Those will be people that we'll wind up working with. At least ancillary through their local unit here in Farmington.
Yeah. There were a lot of firsts in this election as well.
On the national level.
Yeah, and I think this was the most women elected, I think, to Congress. And,
really?
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, so several firsts. There was, I can't remember all of them and where they were, which states and stuff, but members of LGBT community, 2 Muslim women, one of the youngest, females, 29 years old. Can't remember which states and what, but a whole lot of firsts on this election.
Is the 29-year-old that girl from Brooklyn, Ocasio-Cortez?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
I think she was pretty young. I'm not sure she's the youngest, but yeah. So now we have kind of the same thing we had over our roundabouts, kind of a split. Although that seemed to be trending more hostile. But in Congress, it's also trending hostile. And so now the Democrats have won the House of Representatives for the first time, I think, since 2011, if I'm not mistaken. And the Republicans held the Senate. 2008, possibly?
I thought it was 2008.
Could be.
That's what they said.
And the Republicans held the Senate. So we'll have a split Congress, and that'll be... that's not that atypical for midterm elections. There's usually a switch away from the party that just won 2 years before. And so Mr. Trump will have to put on his negotiating skills and learn to work with the House of Representatives for better or for worse. Yeah. So.
That's so.
We had no upsets in our Congress, but there were a few upsets. I think Claire McCaskill in Missouri was an upset at the Senate level. More predictable, perhaps, was Heidi Heitkamp in North Dakota and Joe Donnelly. Joe Donnelly was a mild upset in Indiana. All 3 of those were Democrats that lost. But Joe Manchin in West Virginia held on to his seat. He was one that was thought to be vulnerable, but he did hold on to his seat. I think both the elections in Florida, both at the Senate level and at the gubernatorial level, were very, very tight elections. I'm not sure if they've called them yet, but I think the Republicans are leading in both. In Texas, Cruz had a very tough election, and they're talking about Beto for 2020. So even though he lost, he got a lot of name recognition. And I don't think they've called the election between two women candidates in Arizona for senator. To replace Jeff Flake there, so that one we'll have to watch, or maybe they've called it and I just missed it. So, but I know it was a close one. They weren't calling it election night when I fell asleep. So
you stopped paying attention when it was done and over, and all the ads have stopped.
Honestly, here's my problem: is I still am recovering from the fall back. So it gets to be about 8:39, and we're starting to nudge up on the chief's bedtime because my body thinks it's 9:30, and I'm ready for bed. So that election, they got to get to the results faster for me.
I love this time of year. I love it when we fall back because it's like I feel like I get to sleep longer all the time.
I get tired of waking you up at your desk, but that's a separate problem, folks. Maybe I get you one of those lights, and that light, the selfie light, kind of keeps you awake.
Yeah.
Sleep. So that was a big one. We'll have to watch. The national politics. Hopefully, we can take the temperature down some. And I don't know that a split in Congress is going to help that necessarily, but it's the same thing we were just talking about with our roundabouts. Let's take the temperature down a little bit. We can have all sorts of disagreements, but screaming at each other and name-calling each other.
The personal attacks is just
demonizing each other
control.
is such a shame. You almost expect it from another country. I don't mind turning on Iran TV and listening to them demonize us, but I kind of expect that. But within our own country, it's really disappointing.
It is.
So hopefully better times are coming here for the next 2 years, and we'll see how they're able to work things out. But a sign that things we're still in need of cooling temperatures a little bit is we had a very bad attack here within a week and a half ago already. I think I've lost it at the synagogue in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. So there were 11 people shot and killed. 4 officers and then 2 other officers were injured during the event, but it was huge. And we had attended, was it last week? My weeks are blurring together.
Mine too.
A local event in support of that community. So yeah.
Oh, so that was, and we've seen them unfortunately all too often. And it's so easy to get depressed over them. But one guy, with a heck of a grudge, goes in and just starts shooting people. And you knew already the likelihood was going to be, because he targeted a synagogue, that you were going to have Holocaust survivors. And then when you started hearing that they were older folks, and it was a lot of the victims were older, you knew that it was going to be. I think the final number was 3 of them survived the Holocaust, only to be gunned down in a synagogue in Pittsburgh. So that's tragic, and it is easy to get depressed over that stuff. But like you said, we went to the vigil here that was locally organized. I was proud of the group that organized it. It is important that we come together and remember other people and what's going on. But there can also be an overfocus on those, the bad actors' conduct, and really it tends to then blight out the good things that happened in there. And so you're right. I mean, police officers are scrambling down there again, doing their job, responding to protect people they don't even know. And 4 of them were shot in the course of trying to put that suspect down. The suspect was wounded, but survived it. And he survived it largely based on the medical care he received. When they took him to the hospital, the doctor and the nurses were all Jewish. And so he's continuing to spew his anti-Jewish vitriol, but he's actually being treated and saved by other Jewish people. And between the police and the medical workers, it could have been a lot more tragic event. It's terrible at what it was. But, you almost gloss over all the sacrifices and all the good in humanity that comes out in these events because you wind up focusing on the bad guy and all the crap he's saying. Yeah, I agree. I think, what did he end up getting charged with? It was 26 counts, something. They hit him with a fistful. Yeah, it was a bunch. So, unfortunately. I think all the officers are going to live. Was the last I'd heard. Yeah, I didn't see any where any had died from their injuries. So. And in fact, after the first day or two, it looked like sometimes it takes a week or two and then somebody still dies. But I haven't seen anybody else die. So the medical care they got and how fast they got it was life-saving to a number of people. Yeah, and I forget what the wounded total was in that, but there was a high number of people that were wounded as well in it. So yeah, absolutely. So, which brings us to our next. So this year there's been 125 line of duty deaths. So 46 of those have been from gunfire, which isn't as high as we had a couple of years ago, but is still pretty high by normal years. I think we hit 60 or 61 maybe in 2015 or 2016, which is a terrible year for law enforcement. You had the multiple officers in Dallas and then in Baton Rouge that were getting killed. This one could have been bad. We had another one down in South Carolina where one I think a second officer did die a week or two later, but they had like 6 officers shot in the course of that one. So it's those that are it's such a troubling trend for law enforcement over the last couple of years, because the old adage of get another officer on scene and the odds of getting into a shooting go way down. So you know, when I got trained, it was much more that we called it John Wayne. You go in, you handle stuff by yourself, and statistically they could show when you had a second officer on scene, the odds of being attacked really went down, and the need to use deadly force really went down. But over the last couple of years, we're seeing 3, 4, 5, 6 officers on scene, and still they're being attacked. So that I'm not even sure how, as a profession, we're going to respond to that if that trend continues. Because you're never going to have, you know, I maybe only have 5 or 6 officers working at any one time. You know, I'm not going to be able to get 6 to 10 officers for every domestic violence call that we go on. So that's going to be a sobering trend if it continues.
And those domestic violence calls are the most dangerous.
They are.
Heated situation, and a lot of times that offender is kind of at their last there. They're ready. So
yeah,
unfortunate. So let's move on. Veterans Day.
Veterans Day is right around the corner now.
We have a lot of officers who
We
are
do.
veterans.
We do. You know, people
civilians.
don't always realize. Exactly. People don't always really realize how many of our military come home and they still want to do things that serve. You know, that serve their community. So one of our civilians in records is an Army veteran. We have
Female.
several. Female. Tara. And then we have several other of our officers that some of them are combat veterans. A couple of them were wounded in combat for our country, and they're back here serving you here in Farmington, which always to me is, you know, it means a lot that people have gone off and sacrificed. I never went overseas and fought for our country. So here these young men and women went overseas and fought for their country, and now they come back and they still want to serve, and they're still doing the job on our streets every day, keeping our community safe. And so really it's humbling, and it's a day that we should all take a deep breath, again, put aside some of the differences. We certainly have differences. We know how to talk about those. But we ought to be talking about all the things that unify us. And one thing that we can all be unified in is pride in our military and the men and women who've served our country.
Absolutely. And just not too long ago, was it last month, we attended the service in Shiprock.
Yes.
They were honoring military veterans. And we had 3, 4? Tara was one of them, so
We did,
civilian.
yeah.
And then we had several of our officers went out there
Officer
and received their
Yazzie, Officer
medals.
Martinez. So the Navajo Nation commissioned a medal for veterans and awarded it to 3 of our employees that went out there, and I thought that was a great ceremony. I hadn't been to it. Apparently they used to do it more regularly. I hadn't been to it, but they're just starting it back up, and they did. I thought it just a great job.
No, there were so many out there. Yeah, it was a great
And our friend
great event.
Pastor So from
Victory Life Church in Shiprock.
Victory Life
yeah.
Church in Shiprock organized it and reached out to us, and you know we were very pleased to spend the day out there celebrating that.
Yeah, I certainly appreciate him. He's been a great partner in doing stuff between FPD and Navajo Nation and some of the initiatives out there. You know, we had that a long time ago. Like that was right when you kind of first came on. We went out and did the hogback cleaning and
the irrigation ditch.
The irrigation. You got me doing manual labor out there.
No, I didn't know what a rare event it is, or I'd have it filmed, you know, today. But here I am 4 years later. Oh darn it! I wish I had that video.
It was a hot day.
There was no selfie light out there. It was just a lot of sun.
and no cameras around. Thank goodness. No. But some of the other things, you know, we put on a training with him, domestic violence, and I'm trying to remember substance abuse issues. I think it was particularly meth they were focusing on. So just different things to get the police department involved and working with the community out there. So we always appreciate
the pastor and his wife
support.
They've been great friends of FPD. So.
Okay, we've got something coming up.
What do we got coming up?
DJ for a Day.
Oh, which is not also on Veterans Day, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Why do we do that?
No, it's the day after. I think we're doing Tuesday. Yeah.
Are we
Anyway,
Tuesday? Okay.
It's coming up.
Why
It's
do we always do
DJs for a Day.
that? Oh.
because there's two of us. And I'm not letting you take all the credit and glory this time. And so he's DJ for a day, and you want to pick the music, and then I'm stuck playing stuff that is just sad. And
I'll tell you what, you're going to be careful in what you're picking, because I can go really country with my picks. So you can have your picks, and I can go.
Negative Ghost Rider.
1950s Patsy Cline.
No. Remember, I'm the one who sends everything to Scott.
No, I now have Scott on speed dial because his Buffalo Bills are killing me. I picked them a couple of times, and I stand there, well, with my pockets empty, and I have been beaten up, and I haven't won a thing by picking the Bills.
How do you always seem to work football?
Football is life, Georgette.
It's not.
It's not selfie sticks and selfie lights. It's football. So
there will be no football in DJ for a day.
There'll be
none. I'm gonna talk to Scott and have like a little button I can push that just bleeps you out every time you even look like you're gonna mention football.
Well, my Packers are so awful this last 2 weeks, and we've lost tough road games against the Rams and Patriots. But if we win this Sunday against the Dolphins, when we do our DJ for a day, I'm giving a play-by-play. I will write down every play and what happened in it, and I will give it out to our audience.
I'll just bring a pillow so I can nap over here while you talk about that.
The audience will be hanging. Really? Did the Packers win?
No.
What did they run on 3rd and 6? They'll love it. I actually like that idea. Huh. Well, I got some ideas now for our future. No. Maybe we can do this on our.
I hope you lose so I can get on there and put this nice little GIF on your page again. Did you like that? See, I got in on the football fun.
I'm sorry, I'm hitting the button that's supposed to mute you, and it's just not working. So we're being shafted.
So, what can our audience expect? What's our plan? What should we do for DJ for a day?
Well, why are we doing it, first of all? I ask myself that over and over. Why?
Raise money for KSJE because they are a listener-supported radio station.
That's right. We've done it a lot.
We have. This is our 4th time?
One time we ran that little stupid game, and I lost the game, and then we tried to go out and raise money in
standing on the corner.
We didn't raise a lot of money there, folks. So
and it was kind of rainy out.
Oh, it was miserable. I hated it.
A turkey hat.
That was a turkey hat.
We were panhandling.
We were panhandling with a turkey hat. So I had a little sign, KSJE. Anyway, so we don't need a sign this year, folks. But we are going to need you to step up and help support KSJE. It's actually for all the static that Scott gives me, which I endure, brilliantly and with a lot of humility. Scott is doing a great job here at KSJE. I think are they the spotlight of the Four Corners? What's their slogan?
Beacon?
Oh, it's the Beacon. That's right.
It's the Beacon, not beekeeping.
Yeah, I
not
couldn't
bacon,
remember
it's
that
beacon.
for 2 minutes.
It's a new T-shirt.
It's a new T-shirt.
I need one of those.
Good,
I like
great.
it. It's catchy.
So yes, so we support KSJE. We'd like you to support, and we'll talk with you next week when we are here trying to raise money.
Yep.
What kind of little event are you going to do to try and get the public interested and motivated in donating?
It's a surprise.
Well, maybe offer your letter of resignation, perhaps?
That might be coming sooner than you think.
Imagine that in the air. Well, so we have just a couple of minutes. I'll let you
we have 1
sign
minute.
us off.
He's over there doing this.
I can't see him because I'm looking at you.
One.
Focus.
So you can't see the reflection over there?
Well, no. Your head's too big. It's in the way.
Wow. Okay. And with that, we are going to sign off.
Boy, this was a great show. I feel like I loved it this time. Some of these I don't love, but this one I love.
We'll be back on Tuesday for DJ for a Day.
And we'll talk to you in a couple of weeks here on the Cop Shop with FPD. Thank you.